Okay, lifestylers, welcome along to this goal setting video. Now, if you haven't got it yet, I suggest you grab a notepad, pause the video now, grab a notepad and a pen, and you're going to want to take a lot of notes here, and you're going to end up transferring this into your lifestyle manual. So let's kick off. So what I'm going to do, just framing this up, we're going to go through the process that I've refined over probably 15 years or so of some pretty hardcore goal setting. I've stolen bits and pieces from other, I guess, personal development gurus that I've gone to around the world. I guess goal setting is one of those things where, a lot of people have a lot of different strategies around what it takes to be successful, but one thing that they all agree on is the importance of setting goals. And so just about every personal development guru out there has some sort of goal setting strategy. And so what I've done is pieced together what works really well for me, and I've shared this, and it's worked really well for a lot of others, and I've put it into a process that I go through at least every year. And so usually I do this around November when I'm setting myself up for the next year. So hopefully you got your notepad and pen, and let's kick off. So I guess when we're born, right, I'm winding the clock back a fair way here for some of us. So we're this miracle of life with limitless potential. And, we often say things like, you can do, be, and have absolutely anything you've ever wanted. And when we stop and think about really successful young people right now, people that have, let's say they were 17, 18 and you'd never heard of them, and now they're like 21, 22 and they're a household name. They can do that in a very short period of time. And so why is it when we get a little bit older, do we think we're past it? Why do we think that we can't do, be, or have anything that we've ever wanted? We absolutely can. It doesn't matter whether we're a baby or whether we're a senior person in society, we can absolutely do it. And if you look at some of the most successful people out there, a lot of their success was created later in life because they'd gone through that game of life. They'd been kicked around in the game of life and they'd failed their way forward. So we want to fast track that anyway. So, couple questions. Are you maximizing your potential right now? Now, a bit of a loaded question. I don't think any of us really are maximizing our potential. Our potential is astronomical. We're capable of doing a lot of things. So probably a bit of a loaded question, but are you living the life of your dreams? Chances are if you're going through this program and you're using this lifestyle, you probably have some clarity around what the life of your dreams looks like, but you're not quite living there yet, or maybe you're unsure how to get there. So are you settling? This is where a lot of us end up. We have these dreams and aspirations as we're growing up, going through primary school, going through high school even. And then when we start to get kicked around that game of life, we start to lower our expectations of what's possible for us and lower our standards of what we will put up with or settle for. And we end up settling for a lot less than whatever our dreams or aspirations were. Are you balanced? This is an important one because I don't know if you're one of these people that are listening to this right now, but there's so many people out there who are crushing it in one area of their life, but the rest of their life's out of control. When I stop and think about what the stereotypical CEO of a company looks like, they're not usually a picture of health. And so maybe their finances are sorted, but maybe their relationships and their health are suffering. And then I see people who are just peak specimens of the human race. Amazing physical condition, amazing health and well-being, yet their relationships suck and their finances are screwed. So what we want to do is we want to get into balance. We want to have all areas of our life where we're crushing it and succeeding. And I can guarantee you, those people who are crushing it financially, you can't buy health. And at the end of the day, if they get hit with some sort of health challenge, they would just about give up everything that they've gotten from a financial point of view to get their health back. And we know that that's not possible. So we don't want to fall into that category. We want to set ourselves up to be balanced. Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to implement things? This is a big one. This was a big one for me for many years. I was so hungry. I don't lack curiosity. I don't lack work ethic. And so I was out there. I was curious, what are successful people doing? How do I go and create the success in my life? What do I need to learn? And so I started to go to all of these programs and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal development. But I kept feeling overwhelmed. At the events, I would leave the event on top of the world. And as soon as I got back home into my life, into the real world, I was feeling a lot of overwhelm trying to implement those things that I was learning there. And I actually had no idea how to implement those. I was getting confused, and confused people, as we know, do nothing. So are you ready to stop settling? And are you ready to start creating a sustainable system, a sustainable strategy around living the life of your dreams and maximizing your potential? I hope the answer is yes for that last one. So do you set goals already? I love this little quote here. If you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. Absolute classic. And most of us tend to do that. And I'm going to share some statistics around this. Do you have your goals written down? Goals that are not written down are just wishes. And, you know, throwing a coin in the well generally doesn't bring things into reality. So just wishing is never enough. Do you have a clear action plan in place to achieve your goals? And I stole this quote from a mentor of mine who's one of the most successful people that I've ever met and had the privilege to be mentored by. But he said to me one time, you do not believe in your own goal if you don't see the path to achieve it. And when he said that, it's just stuck with me forever, because I know that in the past, when I've had things that I know I really want, I'm aspiring to go and create this, do this, be this, whatever it is. But if I can't see the path how to get there, I usually shut down. I can't stick to what I want to do. I guess stick to the activity to get there, because there's no faith there because I can't see the path. So we want to make sure that we're ticking all of those three boxes, having our goals first with some clarity around them, having them written down, and then having a clear action plan to go and achieve them. So here's some statistics. If you weren't fired up about goal setting beforehand, this should fire you up. In 1979, interviewers asked new graduates from Harvard's MBA program and found that 84% had no specific goals at all. 13% had goals, but they were not committed to paper, as in written down, and 3% had clear written goals and plans to accomplish them. So, you know, only 3% of people had clear written goals in an MBA program at Harvard, which was staggering. I bet you things have changed since 1979, especially when you see the results of this study. So in 1989, so 10 years later, the interviewers again interviewed those graduates of that class, and these results should amaze you. The 13% of the class who had goals were earning, on average, twice as much as the 84% who had no goals at all. But here's the part that blew my mind, absolutely baked my noodle. The 3% who had clear written goals were earning, on average, 10 times as much as the 97% combined. So all of the income of the 97% of the class combined, the 3% as individuals were earning on average 10 times the amount. So if that doesn't, I guess, cement or put some clarity around how important goals are, then I don't know what will. So if that's the case, why is that? And I look at this. I guess I've got a trade background, right? So I'm a cabinet maker by trade. I dropped out of school when I was 16. Got a trade as a cabinet maker because I wanted to get into business for myself as soon as I could. But if you look at the blueprint on the right there, I like this analogy because I guess my trade background. But obviously that's a blueprint of a house. Now, when I talk about goals, when we think about goal setting, I really think people often say to me, actually, you know, I'll do that once I get started. And I say, hang on, you've got that a little bit around the wrong way. You should complete things before you start. And I'll explain what I mean. That blueprint, that's completed. Every detail of that house is completed. So when someone, well, I guess when the builder and the tradies show up onto a building site that's just flat dirt, they don't just pick up a hammer and nails and wood and start banging things together. And then all of a sudden a house appears. They've got the finished product. They know exactly what it looks like to every detail. And then they can go to work on making it happen. They can follow a process to end up with that exact end result. Take all the guesswork out. And so goals are very similar to that. And I guess the map analogy, if I told you that there was an island on planet Earth that had this amazing treasure on it, the chances of you finding that are slim to none. Then if I told you, I guess the island's in the South Pacific, you've just narrowed your search down and your chances increase. But then if I told you it's that island over there, and I've literally pointed to it, we've really narrowed it down. But what's the chances of you actually finding the treasure on that island? You can't turn the whole island upside down, right? Digging it up and so forth. So then what if I gave you a map of that island and I told you exactly where the treasure is in the map? There's the process. There's the goals of the treasure, and the map is the process. And we just literally follow the process, and it gets us to our destination. And so that's what goal setting is all about. And so that's what we're going to go through today or tonight, wherever you are with this presentation. So before we get stuck into getting your own goals set, we want to talk about creating some certainty and some belief around what's possible and what's possible for you. So what you want to do is take 3 minutes to write down now on your scrap piece of paper there as many things as you can that were once a dream or desire, or even a goal if you've been setting goals in the past that you've already achieved. Things in your life that once, I guess, they weren't in your life, and here we are now and they are. Write them down, dreams, desires, or anything. And what you want to do now is just pause the video and go through and write those down. All right. Now, if you're back, hopefully you paused that and did that. If you didn't do that, I'd suggest why. I'm telling you now, this is the process that it's a lengthy process what we're doing now, but we've got to do it at least once a year to get some clarity around it. So step 2, what you want to do now is put an asterisk next to 2 or 3 of those items that once seemed totally impossible. 2 or 3 of those items that are in your life right now that once never were, that seemed absolutely impossible. Put an asterisk next to 2 or 3 of those. Hopefully you've done that. That should have been pretty easy. And now, a couple of those items with the asterisk next to them, write down the steps that you took to take them from a dream or a want or a desire into reality. What steps did you follow? What was the process you went through? What was the action that you took to create those dreams or desires and make them reality? And here's the little kicker that a lot of people don't realize. And I've got it down there in the notes there. Maybe you didn't achieve them consciously, but something stimulated enough to turn it into a must or force you to create an outcome that you had to meet. And so, I've spoken to people over the years when I've done this process. I've done this process one-on-one with people, and I've done this process with up to around about, I guess, my biggest group that I've ever done this with. It's probably about 3,500 people. And so, I always ask for a bit of feedback when we're going through this. And it's this one here that when people say something happened in my life that changed my situation or circumstance and forced an outcome to take place. And, for some people, that's been like the dream job, the dream role that they've always wanted. Maybe they weren't qualified for it. Maybe they didn't have the confidence or whatever it is. And they never would have applied for any of it, but maybe they were made redundant or something forced them where they were losing their existing employment, and then they just went for everything and thought, what the hell? And maybe they went and achieved it like that. So write down the steps that you took. So I'm waffling on a little bit here. So just pause the video and write down the steps that you took to take them from a dream to reality. Okay. So now that you've done that, hopefully that gives you now some certainty that if you've done it before, you can definitely do it again. But let me even amplify that. If you've done it before when you weren't even focused on it and concentrating on it and consciously taking steps and action and having a plan to achieve it, if you've created it like that, oh my God, you can definitely do it again, right? So that's what we're going to do. If you've done it before, you can do it again. But this time we're going to do it with certainty, and we're going to do it with a plan and some clarity. So goal setting for wealth and abundance. Now, when I talk about wealth, a lot of people think about just money and finances. That's cool. Doesn't worry me if that's what they're thinking. But at the end of the day, wealth is much more than just finances. You know, wealth can be your health, your relationships, you know, your connection with nature and the planet. And abundance is exactly the same thing. So we're going to go through the process now to set your goals for wealth and abundance. So if you have had anything to do with goals in the past, you would have seen this little, I don't know, what's it called, acronym or something. So SMART goals. People talk about setting SMART goals. So this is the foundation you want to keep in mind when we're going through this process now and setting your own goals. So your goals need to be specific. I really get frustrated when I'm working with people and we're setting some goals, and you know, let's say their goal is I want to lose some weight, and it's like, okay, fantastic, you want to lose some weight, but that's not specific at all. So you know, getting specific would be, I want to lose 10 kilograms or whatever that is, 22.2 pounds. So we want to get specific. They want to be measurable. And I guess measurable and specific can sort of go a little bit hand in hand. Let's say we use the weight loss example again. I want to lose weight. Is it measurable? Well, sort of. You know, you've got to measure where you are right now. And then, you know, if I'm 92 kilos and I want to lose some weight and I go down to 91.5 kilos, then have I achieved my goal? Well, I've lost some weight, but you know, you can't even notice that. That's the difference between a good dinner and no dinner, right? So they've got to be measurable. So if I said the weight loss, 10 kilos, absolutely. It's specific, it's measurable. Then, is it attainable? Now, for me, the ART of SMART, they all combine. So let's just push through to the next one. So attainable, so it needs to be recorded, obviously, but there's the realistic part of that R that ties in with attainable, and it's time frame. So if I go to the weight loss goal again and say, okay, I want to lose 10 kilos, is it attainable? Well, that depends on if it's realistic in the time frame. If I go, I want to lose 10 kilos, and let's say today is Wednesday, and I want to lose it by Friday, that's not very realistic in the time frame. So, you know, short of chopping off a leg, that's never going to happen, right? So attainable, realistic, and time frame all work together, and they have to be there to create SMART goals and goals that are going to set you up to win rather than set you up to fail. And recorded obviously means we want to have it written down. So, you know, the weight loss is one example. Another one that frustrates me is when people say, I want to get out of debt. Terrible goal to have. Nice outcome that we want, but it's a terrible goal. You know, debt, you know, whether you're thinking get in or get out, you're thinking debt, so you're probably going to get more of it. That's the first thing. But secondly is, okay, what sort of dollar value is it? So we want to get specific. Okay, I want $10,000 in the bank, in cash. So is it specific? Yes, it's measurable. Is it attainable? Well, that depends. Is it realistic in the time frame? So I want $10,000 in the bank. And so right now we're at the beginning of March. So if I say I want that 10 grand in the bank by the end of November, you know, that's pretty realistic in the time frame. So hopefully that's shed some light on what you want to keep front of mind while we're going through this process and setting your own goals. So now, here's the exciting part. This is where you want to go crazy. Don't think about the how. Sometimes even don't think about the why. You just want to write down absolutely anything you want to do, be, achieve, own, create, experience, whatever, in the following areas. Now, again, you want to pause this. So when I go through and click to the next area, you pause the video and write down absolutely anything you want to do, be, have, create, achieve in these different areas. All right, so the first area is business, career, finance, and assets. What do you want to do, be, create, have, achieve in this area? Absolutely anything. You know, is it a job? Is it a business that you want to start? Is it a certain position in your career? Is it a certain point in financial status? Is it a millionaire, a multimillionaire? Is it a billionaire? Is it a certain amount of dollars in the bank? Is it assets? Is it, you know, the toys, the momentary pleasure stuff, the cars, the boats, the houses, or the holiday houses, or whatever it is? Is it investments? Is it a property portfolio? Is it a share portfolio? So pause the video right now and write down as many things as you possibly want to do, be, create, achieve, or have in this area. Okay, so now what we want to do is go to the next space. What do you want to do, be, create, achieve, or have in physical health and nutrition? So physical, your physical body, this vehicle that we're all tied into while we're here on planet Earth, right? So we want to set some goals around that. You don't just accidentally become in good health. You don't just accidentally become out of health. It's a process. You know, illness is not an event, it's a process. Disease isn't an event, it's a process. So we want to look after what we do. I find most people have better goals around looking after their vehicle and a set program on maintenance on a vehicle than they do on their own body. So you want to set some goals around what sort of physical condition you want to be in. Remember, specific. You want to get all those things down in terms of SMART goals, time frames, and so forth. Is it a certain weight you want to be? Is it BMI sort of stuff and body fat percentages, or is it distances you want to be able to run in a certain amount of time, or is it distance you want to be able to ride, or is it being able to play a sport that you haven't been able to play, and whatever it is. And around nutrition is the foundation for absolutely everything, guys. Let me just explain this part of this section. If you have all of your other goals done the right way and you neglect this one, this nutrition part, then you're not going to be able to go and sustain anything in any other area. You have to have a good plan around your nutrition. You've got to make sure you're giving your body everything it needs to repair, defend, and maintain itself every day, every single day. So you've got to set some goals around this. If you don't, you will pay the price, as many people do. So pause the video now and set some goals around this section. Okay, relationships and connection. This is an area a lot of people neglect. I guess people talk about failed marriages. I really think that it's failed people, that you don't accidentally have the best relationships ever. Yeah, a marriage isn't something that you decide to get married once and then you just happily ever after, like the nursery rhymes, right? You got to work on it every single day. And so we want to set some goals around our relationships and that connection with other people. And as you go through the lifestyle and follow this program, you're going to find out how important this step is to our sustainable joy and our momentary pleasure and survival. So relationships, set some goals around that. Is it a significant other relationship? Is it family? Relationships. Now, I've set a lot of goals in this area in my life, and this is actually the area in my life that got to crisis point for me that motivated me to go and create actually financial goals in my life, so I would be able to have more time freedom to work on my relationships with my kids, with my wife, with my family. So you want to set some goals around this. Maybe it might be just chatting to a random friend or a random family, a new one once a week. Or maybe it's dropping in to catch up with, a friend, family member, or whatever it is, just random drop-ins. Maybe you want to do 2 of those a month, or whatever it is. You want to work on this. Maybe it's date night. That's a big thing for me and my wife in this house. Our life is so much better when we have date night every now and again. And what's crazy is those date nights tend to go out of control. If you guys that are watching this know us, man, our date nights are out of control. We had one Saturday night just gone. We wrapped up at 4 a.m. It's like, man, I feel like a teenager sometimes when I'm going out and doing this stuff. But it creates awesome relationships and fun and longevity in relationships and connections. So pause the video and set some goals. What do you want to do, have, create, be, achieve in relationships and connection? Okay, personal growth or skill set. Very important. If we are not growing, we are dying. That's everything in the world. If a plant's not growing, it's dying. So personal growth is what does give us sustainable joy and a feeling of wealth and abundance. So you've got to set some goals around this. We should be skilling up all the time. We should always be a little bit better. You know, it breaks my heart when I see a big company or something go under where someone's worked there for 25 years or more. And, you know, all of a sudden they're without a job and they are screwed. And it's like, man, if you were just getting some sort of skill set, maybe it was one night a week, you were taking a course on something else, you were learning something else, you'd at least have something to fall back on. So that's in the preventing the negative case. But what about the positive? It's upskilling, it's getting these other little things that can really positively impact your life and close the gap from where you are to want to be, help you fast track those things. What if this personal growth and skill set area, what if this ties into some of your other goals? You know, what if you want to create a share portfolio in terms of assets in your business, career, financial assets? So you might need to learn some skills around that. You might need to, you know, learn some trading strategies or some buy and hold strategies or something to do with forex trading or share market or whatever it is. So, so we've got to set some goals around this. My personal experience with this is, you know, I'm always looking at my weaknesses and improving on my weaknesses, and the things that are holding me back in other areas of my life, in these other goal areas. You know, I've had to learn a lot about nutrition to close my nutritional gap. I've had to learn a lot about communication to help me with relationships and connection. You know, I've had to do things like hypnosis around, I guess my goal was getting better at public speaking and facilitating, because I knew I had a lot to give, but I just wasn't able to give it. So, you know, I had to upskill in that area. So pause the video now, jot down as many things as you want to do, be, have, create, learn, evolve in personal growth and skill set. Okay, contribution. The number one neglected area for me for so many years was contribution. You know, mentors used to say to me, the people who I'd go and pay for coaching from or go to their events, they would say to me, Mike, you've got to contribute to others. You've got to give without expecting to receive back. You've got to give without stopping and thinking about it. It's set up and you just give automatically. And I would say, I will start giving once I've got myself sorted. And they would say, you've got that the wrong way around. Once you start giving, you will get yourself sorted. I don't know how that works. There's so much airy-fairy, non-tangible stuff out there in this crazy universe, universal laws and stuff. But let me just tell you now, that is 100% correct. And the other thing that I didn't realize is contribution is one of our 6 human needs, which we're going to touch on in another video here. And it's one that can bring us sustainable joy rather than momentary pleasure. So where do you want to make a difference? Who do you want to contribute? How do you want to contribute? Set some goals around this, set some targets around this. You know, we've set some amazing targets with myself individually. I've set targets as groups with this. A couple of years ago, I guess 2018, we had a goal of feeding 1 million children, 1 million starving children around the world. So the first step was exactly that, getting some clarity around that. It was over a 12-month period, so we had a time frame. We had it was measurable. We kept tabs on it, so it was realistic because we were a big group of people. So we want to set some goals around that. How can you contribute to others? You know, for me, this right now is ticking my contribution box. It's helping me with my contribution goals. Is what we put together with this program and contributing and helping others, and helping others without expecting anything in return. You know, that's the secret to contribution. So set some goals around that. Who do you want to help? How do you want to help them? Where do you want to make a difference? What do you want to contribute to? What's going to be better what's going to be better in 2020 because you decided that you were going to contribute to that? Is that money? Is it time? You know, is it resources that you're going to contribute? So set some goals in that area, pause the video, and we'll come back when you're done. Okay, spiritual. This was also another neglected area for me because I always used to think, well, you know, I'm not all that religious. And for me, that's what spirituality meant. The little that I did go to school, I went to a Catholic school. But spiritual can be religion, absolutely. But it could be so many other things as well. And for me, we really want to set some goals around being connected with something bigger than ourselves. You know, I guess we'd have to be naive to think that there's not more going on in the world than what we can see, smell, feel, and touch. You know, there's so much crazy stuff that goes on in this world, and there's so many miracles in front of us every day. You know, we want to be connected to that. It's a real spiritual thing. For me, nature is a very spiritual thing. But then we also want to be connected to ourselves and in tune with ourselves. And it's crazy how, you know, your intuition can go through the roof, and your gut feelings and all of these sorts of things when you set some goals around becoming more spiritually connected. You know, for me, these are things about getting time in nature. I'm an ocean lover. I absolutely love the ocean. I need to physically see the ocean every day, which is one of the reasons why we live in Fiji, right? So, you know, I try and get in the ocean as often as I can. You know, I do meditations. Maybe you want to set some goals around meditations and getting, you know, spiritually connected that way. So work out what this part means to you. It's a touchy subject for some people, but at the end of the day, again, you're not. I guess you're not setting yourself up to be really bulletproof unless you work on this, getting spiritually connected. You know, because life goes sideways sometimes. Things go sideways. You know, it doesn't always work out exactly how we're planned. And I find when I've got a good spiritual grounding, there's trust in the process. I can find some sort of calm even when things are going sideways. So set some goals around your spiritual area and being spiritually connected. And pause the video if you haven't. Okay, back. Now we want to go back through your list and put a time frame next to each goal. So indicate when you'll achieve it. For me, I like sometimes even 30 days, but most of the time I like 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. And so not so much the 90 days or 30 days. We're going to talk about that in another video. So these are the bigger goals now that you've got in your list there, and then put a time frame next to it. Do you want to achieve it in 1 year, 3 year, 5 years? I used to go like 10 years, but things move so fast for us now that I guess a lot of people overestimate what they can do in a year, but really underestimate what can be done in 5 years. It's crazy where you can go in 5 years. You know, if you go back 5 years, you know, someone like, I don't know, I was going to say Justin Bieber, but he's been around for a long time, since he was a little kid. I don't know, maybe Taylor Swift, Nicki Minaj, or you know, these famous people that are out there. Cardi B, did you even know who she was 5 years ago? And you know, she's created an empire in that time. So put a time frame next to every one of your goals. And then what we want to do is choose your top 5 goals. Grab a clean piece of paper right now and rewrite them down along with a short paragraph of why you absolutely must achieve this goal in the given time. And so in life, we don't get our shoulds, we get our musts. If something is a must, you absolutely will achieve it. So what you want to do is write a little paragraph around the goal of why you absolutely must achieve the goal. So maybe pause the video, go through each of your top 5 goals in each area, right? So my top 5 goals for business, career, finance, assets, top 5 goals for, you know, health, physical health, nutrition, and so forth. Maybe you might not even have 5 goals in some of them, but your top goals in each section, and write down the reason why you absolutely must achieve them. So I'm going to keep talking while you go through and do that. So you might not have to pause the video here, but I sort of flip this around lots of different ways sometimes. So, you know, when you're writing this down, write the possible effects, you must achieve it, and the possible effects if you were in the best physical shape of your life, the best financial career, the best emotional shape, most spiritually connected you've ever been, and have the best relationships of your entire life. You know, what are the possible effects on your life, the positive effects on your life? So you want to have your goal, you want to have the reason why it's an absolute must that you achieve this, and you want to write a list of all the good things that can show up in your life, all the possible positive effects in your life if you were to achieve this goal, or when you were to achieve this goal. Now, you might have to pause this video, take it back and forth a few times while I'm going through this bit. But as humans, we are either motivated by moving towards pleasure or avoiding pain. So what we're doing here is dangling that carrot of pleasure, which is sweet, right? But it's only a small percentage of people that will be motivated to get out of their comfort zone and go and achieve these goals. Because it's fair enough to say, if what you're looking to achieve here was within your comfort zone, you would already have it. But what we do is we associate getting that goal with being more uncomfortable or causing more pain in our life than not getting it. So we never go and get there. So if we're motivated by avoiding pain, the carrot dangling is not going to do it for us. So what we need to do is this process, but writing down all the possible effects of all the rubbish, all the negative stuff that will happen in our lives if we don't go and achieve the goal. You know, what's breathing down our neck if we don't get in good financial shape, good career? What's breathing down our neck if our business isn't thriving? What's breathing down our neck if we're in, you know, bad physical shape, bad health and nutrition? What about a bad, you know, emotions and relationships? What if we're not spiritually connected? You know, what are all the bad things, the negatives that can happen in our world if we don't go and achieve these goals? So, whoops, I skipped on a bit fast there. So pause the video and go through and do that. So you're going to have your goal written down, a reason why you absolutely must achieve it, and then a list of all the good things that can happen in your life when you achieve that goal, and a list of all the bad things that will happen in your life if you don't achieve that goal. Pause the video and get all that done. Okay. Now, congratulations, first of all, on working your way through that process. I hope you've found it valuable. And as the study that I shared, the Harvard study that I shared at the start, you are already ahead of 97% of the people out there. 97% of the people would never have gone through a process like this to get some real clarity around their goals, setting up their goals to build for balance and abundance, and setting up their goals from a psychological point of view on how to achieve them with you know, the positives and the negatives that can drive us to go and get there. So that's awesome. Congratulations that you're ahead. But there's always another level. I'm a bit of a car guy, so this is where I talk about supercharging your goals. My number one rule in supercharging goals is never, ever, ever leave the sight of setting goals like this without taking some sort of action towards achieving it. So what you want to do now is you want to pause the video and go through and do something towards moving to move towards achieving those goals. Whatever it is, it might be go onto Audible and download a book, or go on Amazon and buy a book. It might be ring up a personal trainer and book in a session with them. It might be you know, log on and to your internet banking and set up a savings account. It could be anything. Go and do something for each of those goals now that's going to move you a little bit closer towards achieving that goal. And what you want to do is, I guess you want to ask yourself the question, what can I do right now that's going to move me from where I am towards where I want to be? It doesn't have to, just the slightest little step forward. The example that I gave before about improving in public speaking. So for me, when I did that, I was thinking, well, how am I going to do this? So literally, I thought of hypnosis straight away, because I know it was all in my head, right? I've seen people that are no better than me in other areas just smash public speaking, so why can't I? So I literally, when I set that goal, when I got to this point in that process, I literally rang up and I booked in for 3 hypnotherapy sessions, and locked it in, done, dusted. So do something to move you towards achieving that goal. Pause the video and get it done right now. Okay. Well, so the question that I ask, as I say, when I've done that, to take that action, is what can I do right now that will move me from where I am to closer towards where I want to be? I've got the pause in the video at the wrong spot if you've already done that, but take 5 minutes to take some sort of action towards achieving a goal. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is share with you the other things that I do, and you're probably going to realize a lot of this ties in with the lifestyler. The things that we can do to fast track our goals, to supercharge our goals. So first of all, you want to read your goals every single day, at least once a day. For me, I read it in the morning and I read it every night. I read all my goals. Ask that same question. What's the next step I can do? Or what action can I take that will move me towards achieving my desire, my goal, whatever it is? And then when you've done that, what's the next step that I can do? So I'll do that on a daily basis. So each day I'm just moving it forward, even if it's just a little bit each day. By the end of the year, you'll need a telescope to look back where you came from. Practice affirmations. That's obviously a topic in our book, one of the videos that you're going to go through, and the lifestyle is going to help you get your affirmations together, your own personal affirmations for you. Very powerful. Create a vision and mission statement. This is also a step in the lifestyle that we're going to take you through. Very powerful. Create a vision board. Love this. I'm a visual guy. I'm a touch and feel sort of guy as well. So creating a vision board has been a very powerful thing for me in my own life. And I love to keep them and look back through them, and just love it. Vision boards are crazy. Another step that we're going to take you through. Tell the people around you and your loved ones your goals. I've heard people say, set goals, shut up, go out there and smash them, and have everyone stand back and go, oh my God, wow, look what you've done. I don't really agree with that. I have achieved things in my life which I'm so grateful that I achieved, but I would have given up if I hadn't told people. If you're anything like me, you probably never want to be that guy that says something and never does it. So telling people has made me go and achieve some crazy things. The one that off the top of my head was, I was in the shower one day, got home from work, and my wife had a friend around, and I'm in the shower just thinking, I'm going to run a marathon. I don't even know why I thought this. I thought it was a good idea to run a marathon. Anyway, I end up, I get out of the shower and, obviously get dressed and sorted. And then I go out to my wife and her friend and say, hey, I'm going to run a marathon. And they're like, oh yeah, whatever, cool, sounds good. Why would you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And then I didn't get much from them. So then I rang up my cousin and said, dude, I'm going to run a marathon. And he goes, hey, I want to run a marathon too. I've always wanted to do that. So we both decided that we were going to run a marathon. So at the time, here's the crazy thing. I knew I had a sore ankle, but I had no idea. I actually had a broken ankle at the time. I had to have a full ankle reconstruction. I couldn't run. I couldn't even run. And then when I did run, I couldn't run for about 4 days after because of the pain. So I'm 2 years into having set this goal. I'm 12 months past when I said I was going to do it. I hadn't played sport or been fit or done anything for forever. And it's pouring with rain. It's like 4:30 a.m., which is the only time I could really do anything when it wasn't digging into, the rest of my out of control life at this point. And I'm thinking, why the hell am I doing this? And I was like, I don't want to run a marathon. You don't want to do this, you idiot. Like freezing cold, trying to run these kilometers. Anyway, turns out I go through and I do the whole thing purely because I told people and I didn't want to be that person that said they'd never done it. But now at the end of it, it was one of the most amazing achievements physical achievements in my life, and I'm so grateful that I went through and did it. And hey, I've actually just gotten some surgery to tidy up that same ankle to potentially go and do it again. So I reckon I'm going to set a goal next year around running a half marathon. So practice manifestation. Manifestation is powerful stuff. I got brought up that this was sort of not even a thing, like airy fairy hippie sort of stuff. This is probably the thing that's had the single most impact or the largest bearing on success in all areas of my life. Absolutely. I have so many stories that will blow your mind on this. People who know me usually love it. Oh, I think they love it. They might think I'm an idiot actually, but I think they love when they always ask me to tell me the stories around manifestation, what manifestation's done. I have got some stuff that would freak you out. Hopefully we catch up at some point at an event or somewhere and I can talk to you more about this. I'm actually in the process right now of trying to get a deal done with a guy who does a very good manifestation program that I've been able to follow. I just don't want to go sharing it without his approval. So I'm just waiting for his approval so I can potentially put that up in our website. But there's lots of good manifestation stuff out there. You really want to practice manifestation. Practice gratitude. You know, that's a part of our lifestyle system. It's a part of our daily activities. We want to practice daily gratitude. You know, whatever we focus on, we get more of in our life. So practicing gratitude is so important. And if you do that, chances are you're going to get more of it. So track meeting your needs. This is something, again, that we put in the lifestyler because this is something that sets us up for sustainability. Because if we are not meeting our human needs, and even better, if we're meeting them in a positive way, we're able to sustain the activity that we're doing. It's, you know, this is why a lot of people fail, like giving up smoking, for instance. They will fail because it was meeting certain needs of theirs, and then they take it away and they've got nothing else that's meeting those needs. So they can neglect it for a little bit, but over time, they'll always go back to doing whatever they wanted to do to meet the needs. So if it's something like that, we need to make sure we're replacing it with something else and we're getting those needs met. And we need to track that to make sure what we're planning out each day. As you go through these videos, we're going to plan your day, your default day, that at the end of each day or each week, that we're making sure that we're on track and we're meeting our needs. So dream big, but don't just be a dreamer. You know, at the end of the day, you know, when you get told you're a dreamer, it's a bit of an insult. But you know, you do what you want to dream big. Really, whatever you're thinking, you could probably multiply it by 10. It's still possible, and it's possible in everybody's, not just lifetime, but in, you know, 5 years to 10 years. What can be created is amazing. So I know that this process is a lengthy one. Congratulations for making your way through it. It is absolutely worth it. So I'm hoping now you've got a notepad with a whole heap of stuff in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get that and we're going to put that into our lifestyle, and we're going to start to work our way towards achieving those goals, absolutely crushing them. So, you know, by the end of the year, or, you know, 3 years, 5 years, whenever it is, you're standing there and you're absolutely celebrating. And so if you want to share your goals, I know the step we spoke about, telling others and sharing others, use our Facebook page for that. You know, it is a real community. We're trying to build a real community. We want to support like-minded people where we can celebrate each other's wins and congratulate each other along the way. So thanks for tuning into this video module, and I'll see you on the next one.